Hi, and welcome to Hams Radio. I am Hams. Whether you are a new or returning viewer, I just wanted to say thank you for your support. If you are new to my channel is all about finding a life after trauma. I will be showing the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to my own healing journey in hopes that it will help someone in theirs. If you can, or if that sounds like something that can add positivity to your own life, your journey, then I encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the bell so you don't miss out on what I'm doing over here. So today I was just gonna kind of see what pops out, I guess. It's like my thoughts are so random and they just go fucking wild sometimes that it's hard to keep up, I guess. And I know I can't show everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm working on and every realization and every aha moment or whatever. I realize I can't do that, and I shouldn't, and I don't want to. Keeping a part of this journey to myself has its benefits, and what I'm doing is not supposed to be anybody else's journey. So even if I did show step by step, thought by thought, what I was doing so that someone could follow it, it wouldn't work for them because it's not their path. So, but kind of showing the hey, it sucks sometimes to realize that you're not alone feeling this shitty sometimes. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice when I started realizing I'm not the only one who's gone through this, which is great. And I can start reading and building on top of people who've done this before and or healed and gone on this whatever journey this ends up being. Spiritual journey is what it feels like. Because I'm definitely feeling a lot of spiritual shifts and all for the obviously for the good. Um, yeah. So right now I'm sitting at my mom's. I'm outside right now, and I'm noticing how just beautiful the yard is. And I didn't. I've never really realized how pretty it was at my mom's. Just around the house, outside. She has a she's a decent amount of property, I think, but I don't even know what a decent amount of property is. I have no idea. Compared to all of the other houses I've lived in or whatever, this is a lot of property. So it's just nice to be able to see it actually now and actually appreciate what I had growing up. Well, I lived here from when I was 10 to when I moved out and joined the Marines at 18. So not 10. We moved into this house, I think July 2002. So 6 years. I lived here 6 years before I moved out. Um, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Um, this is where I learned to ride horses. We had two horses for a couple of years when I was in high school and learned how to ride. Um, it was really fun. When I go on my walks, I try to observe the nature around me and try to be in a state of like wonder when I look at the world and not looking at nature and naming them. This is one thing I've kind of been learning about is working on getting to a state of peace inside, stillness. And one of the things is observe an object around you. Nature, I like doing it with nature. I think I read that it needs to be something that's not going, you're not emotionally attached to it all. So you're not fighting conditioned reactions when it comes to looking at an object. Um, so like a tree or something like that, and just look at it. Don't name it. Just kind of be in the now with it, I guess, and just look at it and observe it. Remember, just don't name it. Just look at it. I don't know if this makes sense at all. And you like I know when I do it, I'm in a kind of a sense of awe, and I look at a bird and just wow, like just the fact that a bird can just fly. I don't know. It's just everything starts to look just really cool and really beautiful and really amazing when I don't let the labels and the preconceived notions and thoughts and ideas. I don't let it obscure what I'm looking at, or at least I'm really trying not to, which is just trying to be in the moment, trying to just be still. I don't know. Give it a try. See what happens. Um, yeah. My great grandma's service is today. We weren't sure if we had to postpone it for a couple of weeks due to sickness, but everything is good to go. So I watched a bird fly by, and I've just been paying more attention to what's going on around me. And there's a lot of birds, man. They're just everywhere. So just soaking everything in. It is so beautiful though. Just taking a look at the sky, and even yesterday, like it rained yesterday, and it looks like it could we're not done, but just noticing the beautifulness in the sky, even when it's about to rain, even when it's about to be what some people would call shitty weather. It's only shitty because you're making it shitty. Um, Look at the beauty in it. If you hate the rain, just take a moment and just notice at least like the beauty of the clouds or something, the beauty of the environment when it's about to rain. Just one thing, just notice one thing. And what I've been doing is trying to notice more things, more positive, trying to view everything more positively, because one of the things that I listen to, he says, you are what you think, something like that. You are, um, basically, if you're constantly being negative, or you're constantly feeding into all this negative um, emotions that drive from fear, like anger, jealousy, rage, uh, other stuff, other negative emotions. Fuck, I just lost my train of thought. That happens. That's what happens. Sometimes I'm thinking, and sometimes I just straight lose it. And sometimes I pick it up later, sometimes I don't. Cool. So just look at the beauty around you. It's if you start to train your mind to look for the positive. Train your mind to look for what you can be grateful for. It's definitely shifted a lot inside of me. And what happens is my thoughts are more positive, which means my self-talk is more positive. So I'm not scolding myself. I'm not picking on my own self. I'm not bullying myself. I'm not gaslighting myself nearly as much. And I'm starting to just feel better. And I think that helps with, again, like the just being more empathetic and being more compassionate and just being a better human being to everyone. And I think just everything I'm doing is just all coming together, and not all coming together, but it's all positive. So what I'm putting out is a lot of positivity. And so I feel like what I'm getting back is a lot of positivity. If you believe in karma, all of that, which I believe in karma. And I believe there's just my beliefs are being shooken up, and it's really, really amazing. I cannot overstate this enough. Words can't even explain it. So just keep being positive and remember to be compassionate towards yourself as well. I think that was very hard for me to do, because I'm very judgmental, obviously. Well, not maybe not obviously, but I am very judgmental because of how I was brought up, the neglect and the straight out abuse and everything I went through. I lost it again. Um, so I have a very critical inner voice. I have a very critical, what some people will refer to as um, the inner parent, or the critical parent, or the bad parent. It's that voice that is pretty much what you were told when you were growing up, still being in the back of the mind. For me, it was a lot of you're useless. All you do is fuck up. All you do, like, you're just in trouble a lot. You're not as good as your sister. Um, you'll never be as smart as anybody because you're a twin. Um, Shit like that. And so in my head, I've internalized it. And now I'm telling myself everything my dad told me growing up, that I'm not worthy, that I'm not lovable, that I'm not, all those things. And I don't know anything else. So what I'm going to do is keep repeating that in my head. And if I can slowly learn how to reparent myself, if I can change that inner critic, that bad parent inside me, that voice that tells me I'm never good enough, I'm I'm reparenting that side, so it's now talking. And then there's the inner child, and this is just this stuff that I'm learning. So the inner child is more of what somebody else refers to as, like, this is just my understanding of it. The inner child is who comes to light when you're being activated, being triggered in the moment from something that happened in your childhood. When that happens, it's your hurt, wounded inner child that comes out and actually acts for you, if that makes sense. It's not like you're losing control of your body or anything like that, but when you're triggered, when you have that, like, oh, for me, when I have that self-righteous anger that pops up, like, I know that's the ego coming out, that's the inner child acting up because it's reminding her of something that happened in my childhood. So now I can spot it and be like, oh, okay. And at that point, when I spot the inner child reacting, what I'll do is, I know I said this in another video, I'll be like, Rebecca, and I'll soothe the inner child, soothe whatever part of me is having an issue with whatever just happened, or didn't happen. So soothe it. Rebecca, it's okay that you're feeling this way. You are right to feel this way. It is okay to feel this way. Just feel it. And I pay attention to how it feels inside me, and just sit and just let it be. And then it starts to dissipate once I'm okay with just feeling that way. Once I feel like I don't have to justify feeling this way, that it's not wrong that I'm feeling that way, and kind of just make it okay. So I'm kind of using that format ish. Um, been nuts, man. But as I keep improving myself, what I've noticed is when what I'm doing is not aligning with my higher self, my truer self, the more compassionate, understanding, or or when I feel like I'm being triggered or activated, or the inner child is coming out, or the ego. I'll refer to it a lot as the ego. The ego is what's driving some of my actions. When my ego is driving what I'm doing, it is starting to feel more uncomfortable than it is to set boundaries, or even with myself. So it used to be more comfortable to just allow my ego to take over, because anything else was unknown, scary, so that I was comfortable with that. Now that I have done some work on myself, it is less comfortable now just letting the ego take control. So I feel like when my ego's taking control, when I'm reacting, when I'm not responding, I'm just reacting to a situation. Um, Lost it again. Damn, that was a good one too. Whatever I was saying. Um, more compassionate, inner parent. The more I was working on my, now that I've done. Oh my god, I'm so close. I'm so close, but I'm not there. All I'm saying is, man, like I'm glad I'm to this point of healing now, but I guess I can't really be mad that it's taken this long. There's no way I don't think, been able to do this prior to this year. I think there was just so much I needed to process. There was a lot of stuff I think I needed to slowly process and slowly be able to get to on my own before I was able to actually start doing the waking up or the spiritual journey or the actual healing journey. And one of those was being able to say no, even though I'm not great at it. It's definitely something I've been working on the last 5 years. And everything else, even the relationships I've been in, have slowly, every time I got out of one, I would have some boundaries, or at least be more aware of when I wasn't liking what was going on. Even though I stayed with Michael Nanto for, like, I think it was like 2 years, year and a half. But after that, I had a couple of boundaries that I needed met before I was with anybody. I worked on the next few years of just working on myself. And even though I kind of touched on other, like, seeing people, but not really, every time it went south, I would come out, more boundaries, more boundaries. Um, so it was a slow prep to get me to where I needed to be so that I can actually start doing the healing work. It just took a while because I think of the level of trauma. I may have fucking lost it had I started doing this too soon. I remember there was one day, it was, during like the whole week I was crying every day. Um, there was one day when it was the week I was learning about borderline personality disorder, codependency, complex PTSD, and as I was learning about the suicidal thoughts, when it came to borderline, when it hit me that, oh, I really was suicidal. I really had all all these suicide thoughts or suicide urges, I would say. They weren't even thoughts, they were just urges. They were just urges. So like, oh, I wonder if you could even do that. And I know I've mentioned before the the narcissism in me or the self-preservation or whatever you want to call it would always kind of be like, well, if you really want people to love you, like, you can't even see it if you died. You can't see if people loved you or who would come to your funeral. You wouldn't see it. And I was like, yeah, I still need to find love and admiration in this life so I won't die. And when that hit me, I was like, whoa. And it was the only moment in my life that in the moment I could say, I don't know if I'm okay. And I, and you know what? I just kind of just sat with the feeling. I didn't do anything. Obviously, I was just crying the whole day, but I didn't do anything. I had, I don't know if I think I had my one-on-one therapist at the time, and I almost sent him a message. I thought about calling a crisis hotline or reaching out to somebody. But to be honest, I started gaslighting myself. Are you making this a big deal? Like, do you really need to panic anybody? Do you really need to be like alert anybody? Are you sure like you're even, I don't know, like worth the trouble? And I guess I understood better why some people don't reach out or why people may not just reach out or do what they need, because I don't know, because I didn't. Luckily, like nothing happened, but I didn't. And I understand because because of all the reasons I just listed. But bottom line, it was I wasn't worth the trouble, is I think was kind of like the undertone. Like, even though I may be in a crisis, a mental health crisis, I don't want to be a burden because I don't think I'm worth the effort. So like I said, like I feel like people who don't reach out, it's not everyone, just some. Just I'd imagine anybody who kind of similar situation to me, I don't know, or not, or I don't know, have felt the feelings that I felt that day and not been able to recover. And had I not been able to recover, then I may not have been here today. I don't know, but I could definitely see it was a mild version, and I think this is the only reason I was actually able to come out of that day alive. I had a very, very bad trip on mushrooms. And since it was on mushrooms, like in my head, okay, this is going to be over. So I was doing mushrooms, had a jolly, jolly time, smoked some weed, and did not put this together. But when I smoke weed, my paranoia will come out. And sometimes it's pretty strong. So I didn't really think about that when I smoked the weed, already on shrooms. So once the weed started coming in and I started getting paranoid, that was it. That was it. So I spent at least a couple of hours on a couch in a blanket, just fell over. I just sat there and I kept having to tell myself, this is going to end. 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 I kept having to tell myself that. But while I was in, and the only way I can explain it is my head was just full of cobwebs. It was as if just all my shit was brought forward and like amplified. So luckily, I knew I could write it out and I knew it was going to be done. And I didn't want to freak anybody out because I was at a birthday party. I'd rather suffer alone and do all of that shit than freak anybody out, scare anybody, be a burden on anybody. And during that trip, like, I could, the level of discomfort and pain and agony and despair and just every like emotion that would drive you into a like a mental health crisis I was feeling. And I understood why people took their own lives. I understood why people would slaughter their families. I understood because my pain was so great and monumental and just overbearing that I could understand if anybody felt this way most of their days. I understood. And if somebody believed that their children, their their spouse, their partner was also feeling this despair, and this is just the reality that you see this is the pain that you are carrying, and you also see that this is the pain that your partner and your children are carrying. Like I got it. So I think when that day happened, the day where I kind of came to terms with having been suicidal, when that day happened, I already recognized the feeling. I recognized it was a less intense version of that really bad trip, like way less intense. But the feeling was so similar. I was like, whoa. And it just, I don't, just, ooh, that was one of the harder realizations for me, was realizing I'd been suicidal or had suicidal thoughts or suicidal urges, and comparing it to that day, I, I don't know. Had I not had the bad trip, I don't know how that realization day would have gone. And this is what I'm saying when I'm looking at my life and I'm realizing I feel like I'm getting set up for this journey. I feel like I'm getting not set up in a bad way, but like something's out there making sure I'm going to be okay. Something saved me the night of my motorcycle accident. That very intense bad trip saved me on that day I realized I was suicidal. And looking back, I see moments like that all over my life, all over. And some of them being extremely upset when they happened or whatnot. But like looking, that's a lot. Just I'm happy happened. Not happy happened. Not happy. I can see the purpose of a lot of stuff in my life, good, bad, neutral, whatever, that has directly influenced my healing journey in the last, the 5 months, 6 months, however long it's been, 5 months. Um, so, I mean, shit that happened when I was 14, shit that happened when I was 7, shit that happened when I was 20, shit that happened last year, shit that happened 2 months ago, 3 years ago. I'm just seeing them all coming into why it happened over the last few months. Like I'm starting to make all these realizations and noticing. So that's pretty cool. Um, but yeah. So I know that got a little deep. It got extremely deep and extremely, I don't know the word, but I could not be any happier with how my life turned out and where I'm at right now. I love it. I'm starting to appreciate just everything in my life, starting to appreciate just everything more. And feel like I'm becoming a better, just a better human in general. And kind of all I can hope for. So thank you for hanging in there if you made it this far. Um, Again, I know it's a little deep. I will throw suicide hotline down below as well. If you have any thoughts of suicide, anything like that, please reach out. I know I'm saying that coming from a place of never reaching out, but you're worth it. You're worth the trouble. You're worth the trouble to make sure that you're okay and that you want to continue in this world. Um, Always feel free to comment, reach out if you do are feeling some sort of way. Shoot me an email, hit me up on Instagram, leave a comment, however you'd like. Um, if you got anything out of this video, if you could like the video, it does help me as I'm trying to grow the channel and try to reach more people. Other than that, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much and have a good one. Bye.